Bismillah, walhamdulillah, wa salatu wa salam ala rasulillah, assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, and welcome all viewers. Today I would like to share a story about how we almost obtained a $1 million donation for Straight Path Academy. There are two main reasons I wanted to share this story. Firstly, to update everyone regarding what's been going on with the school. Back when we first launched this campaign during the last 10 nights of Ramadan, the support was overwhelming. So jazakumAllahukhairan, there are many people who are very excited about this project and they've been supporting, so I wanted to update everyone regarding what's been going on. And then secondly, I wanted to share this story because there are so many Islamic benefits to derive from what happened. So without further ado, back when we first launched this campaign, there was somebody who reached out saying that he knew someone who wanted to donate an amount that was so significant that inshallah it would cover all of the expenses that we needed for the school. So this is what we spent the past few months working on, because if this donation went through, we would be able to purchase the building, we would be able to start renovating, start hiring staff, and we wouldn't have to fundraise anymore. Now, unfortunately, at the moment, it does not seem like this donation is actually going to go through, and that's what I want to explain. Firstly, I want to give a background regarding this individual who wanted to make the donation. We want to keep his identity anonymous. We're going to say that his name is John for the sake of the story. However, that's not his real name. But 2 years ago, back in 2020, John embraced Islam. He's an old man, he has a Christian background, and what happened was he was diagnosed with cancer. And as somebody who was suffering from this illness, he required a lot of help, a lot of care. Now, John had a Muslim neighbor, and this Muslim neighbor treated him so well and took such good care of him that they began talking about Islam. And this is what led to John embracing Islam. Alhamdulillah. About a year later, there was a Muslim brother introduced to John, and this Muslim brother would come and spend time with John and teach him about Islam, and they developed a very strong friendship. This brother was always visiting him, always talking to him on the phone. In fact, the bond between John and the Muslims became stronger than John's relationship with his own family members. However, over time, John's condition is becoming worse. He's terminally ill, and it's reaching a point where he's not expecting to live much longer. So this being the case, he's putting together his will. Now, surprisingly, it turns out that John, Allahu Mubarak, is worth millions of dollars. So as he's putting together his will, he has to figure out what he's going to do with all this money. And we're not talking about 1 or 2 million, we're talking about several millions. Now, he wanted to leave the majority of his money to his family and his relatives. But there was also a portion that he wanted to donate to some sort of charitable fund. Something that he believed would be beneficial and something that would benefit him tremendously in the hereafter. And this is when John's friend told him about Straight Path Academy. So the founders of Straight Path Academy, we had a meeting with John as well as his friend. The meeting went absolutely great, and John said that he definitely wanted to donate $1 million to the school. However, he said he needed a few weeks to figure out all of the specifics regarding how he would transfer the money to the school. He had meetings scheduled with his lawyers to figure out all of the specific details regarding all this money, how he was going to distribute it, finalizing his will, so on and so forth. Now, as time was passing by, there were two main things that seemed to interfere with John making this donation. Number one is his health began to deteriorate. It seemed like he didn't have as much time left as he had hoped. And secondly, as he was putting together his will and meeting with his lawyer about the money, now members of his family started coming and getting involved. Whereas for the past year, John was developing these strong relations with his Muslim friends. They were coming and visiting him and talking to him and taking care of him, not even knowing that he had all this money. Yet now that it seems like he's reaching his last days and he's putting together his will, his family's starting to show up. And not only are they starting to show up, but they are preventing the Muslims from actually maintaining that relationship with him. So whereas before, John's Muslim friend would visit him constantly, talk to him on the phone all the time, there was never any interference whatsoever. Now his Muslim friend is being prevented from visiting him, from talking to him on the phone. And due to John's medical condition and his health deteriorating, it's increasingly difficult for him to do anything about it. And not only are these people apparently conspiring to control what John does with his money, but they also don't want him to have an Islamic burial. They're not supportive of him being Muslim. They come from a specific Christian denomination. So aside from the Straight Path Academy donation, we were also working with John to facilitate him having a proper Muslim burial. But his non-Muslim relatives are very opposed to all of this, and they're making it essentially impossible for us to really do anything with John at the moment. They're taking his phone and blocking numbers. They're making threats, telling people to stay away from him. So this has unfortunately become a very messy situation, and it's not that we've given up on John. We're still hoping that, inshallah, something will work out where, first of all, he can have a Muslim burial. We ask that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala make things easy for him and protect him and give him a good end. And we're also hoping that this donation does eventually work out. However, at the moment, it really seems like it's not going to work out, unfortunately. And we've already been focusing for so many months on this donation, not updating everyone about what's been going on. I wanted to finally make this announcement and let everyone know that this is why we haven't really been pushing this campaign as much over the past few months. We were really hoping that this donation would go through and then we could purchase the building and take care of everything with this one donation. But since that doesn't seem to be working out, I just wanted to let everyone know that we are still in the fundraising phase of this campaign. And now that you all have been updated regarding what's been going on with the campaign, I also wanted to derive some benefits Islamically from this story. So firstly, this story shows us the importance of being a good neighbor. John's Muslim neighbor was taking care of him when he was sick. And being a good neighbor is a very important responsibility, Islamically speaking. But not only was this Muslim a good neighbor toward John, but they also invited him to Islam. This Muslim told John about what Islam is and invited him to embrace it. And as we can see, John accepted the message and he became Muslim. A second benefit to derive from the story is just reflecting on the blessing of having good, righteous family members. I mean, when we look at John's situation, his family was not interested in calling and visiting and taking care of him. Yet as soon as the issue comes up of his money and his will, now they want to have control over every aspect of his life. Not to facilitate what he wants to do with his money, but because they want to control it. And just to remind you, this donation towards Straight Path Academy, this was just going to be a fraction of his money. John is worth millions of dollars, Allahumma barik. He just wanted to give 1 million to Straight Path Academy. Yet look at what these people were willing to do to their sick family member, to go against his own wishes and take advantage of a terminally ill, sick man. I can't even fathom what John is actually going through himself for him to see this happening, yet to be so powerless to really do anything about it. A third benefit to derive from this story is just the trial of money. Allah gives wealth to whom he pleases, and it is a test of his life. And as John knows firsthand, it's not something that you can take with you. So as John was preparing himself for the hereafter, he wanted to know what he could do with a portion of his money that would benefit him on the day of judgment. And this is why he wanted to contribute to Straight Path Academy. So on the day of judgment, his scale of good deeds would be so heavy due to helping us purchase that building, to renovate it, so that he could get a portion of the good deeds of everyone who went there and learned and benefited and prayed. This was potentially such a good use of his money to benefit him in his grave. Another benefit to derive from the story is how one person can have such a significant impact. I mean, just think, somebody with $1 million, this is just one person, if they were able to donate that amount to this project, then that one individual could make a contribution that would affect a countless amount of people. Just one person making that big donation. And I could go on and on, but one last benefit I would like to emphasize is accepting Allah's qadr, the divine decree. It was written that this situation with John would happen the way that it did. And we still have hope that inshallah, one way or another, the donation will still work out. Or one way or another, we will still be able to raise enough funds to open Straight Path Academy. However, at the end of the day, all that we can do is what is within our capacity as human beings. And we accept Allah's qadr. If it's written for us, the donation will go through. If it's not written for us, it will not. And we accept that as Muslims. We accept that as believers. And I want to close by making dua for our brother. I ask that Allah give him a good end. Inshallah, he will still be rewarded for his intention, which also reminds us of the importance of having ikhlas and having a good intention. Because even if things don't work out the way that we wanted them to, as long as we tried and we had a pure intention, inshallah, we will still be rewarded. How generous is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Please check the link in the description. You can still donate to Straight Path Academy. May Allah make it easy for us to make this dream project a reality. JazakumAllahukhairan. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.